Your Unspoken Logic KE podcast. Today we are hitting episode 100. We're actually hitting
100.
3 digits. 100, man.
Round of applause for that, man.
It's a good
100.
thing.
Wow.
It's not easy.
It's not easy, but it's been a journey, man.
Consistency.
Yeah.
So actually you have 2 guests who are gracing this awesome show. So I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
All right. Ladies before gentlemen.
Hi, the ever awesome Coach Bella. I love of people, I love of swag, I love of everything nice. You're welcome.
All right. My name is G Money. I almost said radio presenter. A former radio presenter, current podcaster, and just jack of all trades.
In it.
Yeah, welcome.
Amazing. That's dope. Yeah. That's super dope. I feel so good that,
So good that you forgot your name.
Yeah.
I forgot my name. Yeah, because wa mama analia na kushaga meno Stivovosti.
Yeah, man. I didn't.
Cool up.
Charles didn't say his name as well.
Charles Upper.
And
Drew, we're doing it behind the scenes today.
Mlami
wow.
Nico. Mlami Yuko.
Have we displaced you?
No.
Internally displaced podcasters.
That gives a new name to IDP.
There you go.
Yeah, you're welcome. Karibuni sana.
Cool
Yeah.
stuff.
Thank you, man.
I was actually today, before we came, I was pretty sad today.
Why?
Until, anytime I come to this podcast and then people talk and we have this conversation, my heart kind of comes back. But today I had like a very serious outburst with my mom.
Okay.
Yeah, so we had...
What did you do?
Not
You did something.
All right.
No. Maybe it's black tax,
Okay,
man.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe they were kind of extorting me from the side.
Well,
Taxation all over.
Mm-hmm.
So it was crazy that my mom. So I had sent some money back home.
Okay.
For doing some projects, and then all of a sudden, like some 20 Gs or 30 Gs kind of went missing, and because I had sent it directly to her, and then all of a sudden, I'm trying to ask her, and she's like, I raised you, man. You are not supposed to be asking
Right.
me such
Shouldn't even
questions.
question
Like,
you.
just look for another money to kind of, go right with it. And I felt so sad. I felt so bad. And I was kind of asking myself, am I justified to be mad at my parent? Because,
I mean, sorry, but I find that very intriguing.
you find that intriguing?
Intriguing because, like, you must be the first person who sent money to their parents who expected their parents to do what they said they were going to do with the money. Like,
It never happens.
you know what I mean?
No.
Let me give you an example.
Yeah.
And before you finish your story, when my grandfather died, right? I said to my grandmother, "How much is the funeral going to cost?" And I was in London at the time. She told me £4,000, right? So I sent her the money. Or no, actually, I went to Jamaica, gave her the money in her hand, right?
Yeah.
Do you know when my grandmother died, we found a bank account with £4,000 in it in a high interest account.
Okay.
So she taken that money and banked it away and used her money to do so. That's what parents do, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
But it's a project that kind of is very dear to my heart. You would like, my parents are the people who are like the last people who would think of extorting me.
Stop
that I don't think that word
not
just
think
extorting though.
It's not but that's kind of
kind of
black
feels
tax.
like it.
No, extortion is when somebody takes your money, like almost like under duress. Like, give me that money.
Yeah.
You sent your mom
sent
that
it.
money, like.
But the money was for a certain project.
Live and trust.
Yeah.
No. Sometimes the real reason is people feel like it's in every relationship. People are in this for something. Like, I'm your friend because I need something from you, and I feel like it shouldn't be that way.
I agree. I agree with you on that. I agree with you. And it's funny. It's really funny that we're having this conversation today because over the last few weeks, I've really had to kind of reassess what friendships actually are and just come to terms that like many friendships these days are actually transactional.
Extremely.
And not necessarily money, but just like other things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to take. And I think there's a day I'd gone to
She's
visit.
my security.
Yeah, have fun. I'd gone to visit my therapist, and we were just talking, and I realized I'm one person who shows up. I show up for people. You call me, you're not okay. I'm gonna find my means to get to you.
Right.
I'm gonna ensure I've taken good care of my friends, and this person asked me. But when you're in trouble, when you're in need, who comes?
Right.
Yeah.
And that hit me so hard that I thought, the way you think you have a good life, you think you've gotten everything in control by this age, and you're really happy, because I don't know why, but I really do enjoy when I'm there for people.
Right.
I enjoy helping, I enjoy giving.
Wow.
Personally, I receive money if I'm not gonna take it into money market funds or circles. I have money in my account and you are in trouble, it is coming towards you.
Right.
You understand? And I feel now with my nature, I enjoy it. I don't do it because I'm expecting something, and I really learned that out of a lot of pain. If I need to give you something, I'm not gonna give it to you with a string attached. If I can't, I'm just gonna go up front and say, financially I can't support, but how else can I? But now when this person asked me, what about you? When you need people, who do you call? Do you know I had nobody?
Wow.
That's crazy.
That was I was like, if my younger brother is not gonna show up.
So are you valued or are you used? That's the question.
So personally,
it's crazy.
that made me realize.
Yeah.
That made me realize that it is so sad how most likely the way my therapist was explaining to me, sometimes how we perceive life is either what we lacked while growing up, or how our mind was conditioned to see society, and that's how we tend to see ourselves. So she was like, you really enjoy and like making other people happy is what gives you happiness. Other than making yourself happy, you rarely look in, you only look out. So you're a giver, you pour into others. And she was asking me, the days you go empty, you know what I do? I run away. Like, I'm gonna go visit my mom. She lives in a very interior place, and I'm just gonna stay there and eat and have no gadgets. The days I won't even pay for Wi-Fi, so that I'm just offline in my in my serene place to just power up, because there's nobody to pour into me. Then once I'm full, go out again and give.
I need your therapist number. I need your therapist number because
See me after this.
what you've just said has hit so close to home. And there's two things you said that I'd like to touch on. The first thing you said was that if you're just have a giving spirit, right? Yeah. You're just a giver, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to sit down and ask yourself, where did this come from? Like, you have to track back to childhood. And for me, that's me. Always giving. I'll come back to that. The second thing that you said is like giving good out to the world. And when you give good out to the world, there's a tendency for you to think that the world should give back to you. And unfortunately, that's just not how the world works.
It doesn't care.
And I read a book, it was called No More Mr. Nice Guy. Because I can't remember the name of the author, because it's something that I've struggled with. Because basically, when you give, and it never comes back, you start to resent. And it fosters and it builds resentment. True. Do you know what I mean?
True.
And there's a lot of people walking around, especially men, resenting the fact that, like, for example, you could say, I've been strong-armed by my mom. You know what I'm trying to say? There's a lot of men walking around who are resentful because they put so much out there and receive nothing to come back.
Especially in their relationships, especially in their homes.
In their homes.
Like, you find that you buy your spouse something, you buy your spouse clothes, you don't buy yourself clothes. You buy your spouse whatever, but you don't buy yourself anything because you're like, I'm the provider.
Right.
But at the end of the day, when that person does anything wrong, or maybe that person,
Start pressing all those buttons.
But
I did this. But I did.
You will find that at the end of the day, you will be a very sad person. You will be very bitter.
Very bitter, very resentful.
That's
That's
very
true, man. I actually wanted... Yes?
Sorry for cutting you. I like how you articulated it, because it's something that I'm currently struggling with.
Oh, goodness.
I came to learn that nice gets you used. I came to learn that being nice does not necessarily mean the universe will also be kind.
100%.
And it's something that I'm currently struggling with. You end up questioning a lot. You even question the deeds that you do.
Facts.
But I keep remembering a certain story I read in a book Just a small story. It was a person was passing somewhere, and then he saw a snake in a fire pit. And then he was trying to remove the snake. But every time he was removing the snake kept biting him. And passers-by would pass and ask him, why are you doing that? It's such a stupid thing. He said, it's in the snake's nature
Nature
to
to
bite,
Right.
but it's in my nature to help.
Ooh, profound.
Ooh.
So I've been beaten.
Deep.
Okay, that's interesting because there's another similar story about the frog and the scorpion.
Yeah.
So there's a frog and a scorpion, and they're on this side of the river,
Yeah.
and they want to get to the other side of the river. And the scorpion says to the frog, "Put me on your back, swim across, and then get to the other side." So the frog says to the scorpion, "Yeah, but I can't trust you. You're gonna sting me." So the scorpion says, "Guy, if I sting you, we're both gonna die."
Yeah.
So as they go across, the frog is like, that makes sense. They go across halfway through the river, the scorpion starts to sting the frog. So the frog's like, "Yo, dude, now we're gonna die." And the scorpion says, "Yo, it's in my nature. Like I can't help myself."
Keep
You know what I'm
stinging.
trying to say?
Yeah.
One thing you've also said there in terms of like putting good out into the world, it's in your nature to help. That should be enough, but it's not. And what most people who suffer from, that bitterness from always giving is, how many times do we ask for what we want?
Yeah.
There's a famous guy, his name is
Yeah.
Neil Strauss. He's one of these internet guys.
Yeah.
And he says, unexpressed expectations are premeditated disappointments. So, you assume that if you're good, and you assume if you treat people right, and you assume
do
that
the
if you
same.
treat your partner right,
Yeah.
your spouse right, if you assume that they're going to give you or pour into you the way in which you want. But have you ever stopped and said, "This is how
Yep.
I receive love"?
Yeah.
You get me?
Yeah.
And it's like it's like, if you think about a lot of people who are in relationships, and one of the common themes you always hear is that I don't feel loved,
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm a woman.
right?
Tell me that.
But
I understand.
But the thing about it is like, are you taking time to learn and to teach
Them how to love.
how to love you? For example, it's like there's a song, and I always default back into music. There's a song by this singer called Eric Roberson, and he goes, and he's just met this chick, and like, the chick is like saying, "Oh, I don't know if you," and then he goes, please be patient. I'm learning you, and all I want for you is for you to learn me too. Then he goes like, it's too soon for me to say I love you because I'm learning you, and I want you to learn me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you don't express how you receive these things and how these things show up for you, you are up as much of the problem as the person who finds it difficult
Yeah.
to love you.
Yeah.
And I think also another sad thing about it also, I'd say most of us here, growing up in this society, mostly let me say Kenya for that aspect, is the fact that all like growing up, like rarely were we ever asked what we wanted. So rarely did we ever learn how to project that.
Right.
We always receive like the day your mom comes home very angry, you just know I'm either gonna get beaten or I'm just gonna have to keep ducking and keep away from this woman.
Yeah.
Like nobody ever stopped. Even our education system, they just always go stand in front there and tell. Nobody's gonna ask you, did you understand? Nobody's gonna ask you, are you struggling? Anything? Should I help? And I think what that did to us is it rewired how we saw the world.
Yeah.
And that trauma was transferred into our lives. And I think I really deal with kids a lot. And one thing that is different from whatever where the kids we are raising now is there's the tendency to ask because we become more lenient to listen and able to say what they need. But you see, for us, because we lacked it, someone said very many grown-ups are walking traumas. Someone doesn't even know. And that's why when you look at something we call like the Johari window, the side that is known to you and the hidden area.
Yeah.
So what you know about yourself is either you're a good person, then there's what we know about you that you don't know about yourself.
And that's actually very, very
Thank
key.
you. So the more you talk to people and they're able to tell you like, you really expect us to do this. And I think it affects mostly we women in relationships.
Yeah.
Where I walk in and I really do it. Personally, I'm the kind of girl who, we're going somewhere, I just need you to call with everything like, hi, dress in red dress.
Do this, do that.
golden
Hey,
heels.
it's
Do your hair
specifics.
like this. The place you're going is it's gonna
Look
be
sexy.
It's gonna be very hot. So ensure you dress like you don't have to do it like a really big hoodie. I'm picking you at this time. We'll take an Uber at this time. This is the area. But now someone asks you, "Hi, can I take you out?" You're like, "Okay, cool. I'm free on Saturday. Where should we go?" Huh? No, you understand. And I think, but then I've not communicated to you what I need,
Yeah.
but I expect you to know. Then by you not knowing, I judge you by that aspect. So it's so sad that the traumas that we've been building since our childhood, they've met us, and we've not made therapy something that we can discuss about.
That's very
And
true.
nobody is, and then we don't want to listen. When people tell us, "Hey, hold up, I'm seeing a gray area in you, you should." And I think that's the worst thing, because if we are told that iron sharpens iron, they're not supposed to stay together. Sparks are supposed to be flying if sharpening is happening. You cannot just sharpen like this. Sparks are supposed to be flying. So who is that person who's sharpening you, telling you this is a gray area? Work on this, work on this. We have nobody who's doing that to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's because we don't want to listen. Sometimes it's because either people are too afraid of us because we tend to react emotionally than logically. Someone is like, "I ain't going to lose this friend, but I can see he's doing something wrong.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to tell him, I'm going to lose him. So you know what? Someone else will tell him."
You know, sometimes Nathan, what do you think?
Actually, it's such a broad topic that when you come to think of it, most of us normally take it in a perspective of transactional. It has to be transactional. So there's the emotional aspect of it. And then the funny thing is that it actually, when you look in the professional world,
Yeah.
it's something that exists very well, because in a professional kind of setting, both of you have to, like, you need each other. There needs to have that balance. Other than that, doesn't
Communication
exist.
has
Yes,
to
the
be there.
communication, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
That's
And to mention about the black tax that you mentioned about your mom,
yeah.
since they raised us, of course, we owe them. And I feel like,
I don't think so.
Do-
okay, that's my own opinion.
Thank you.
We can, okay, if you're raised up in a good setting, like
Yeah.
you're basically you're just
You owe them automatically.
you don't know owe them the black tax. Okay, what I'm trying to say is,
Yeah.
I owe you to be a good kid, and I
for
am.
example, in your case, you had in your case you had a example of there's a project you want to run.
Yeah.
If you want to run, I feel like if something that I'm putting out, I want it to run or anything, that's my initiative. I don't need to get them involved to avoid the inconvenience, the disappointment. Oh, they ate the money or stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
You know. Sorry to catch you. You know what pains me a lot is that all these things that happen are either coming from family or friends. Yeah,
It's only those who can hurt
it's people
you.
who, yeah, it's people we love. Yeah. I went to see my mech last Saturday,
Yeah.
and I was venting because I was really angry at someone.
Yeah.
And that was a new mech, so I'd never met him, never seen me before, and I was telling him, I'm really pissed off. I really want to sell this bike. I just want to make it functional, so that whoever gets it,
Gets it decent.
doesn't get to go what I went through. You see?
Yeah.
And he told me what has been done to this bike has been done by your friend, because your enemy could never get anywhere close to this bike. So even the wounds that we carry most of the times are from people we love. That's what's so painful
That's the
about
price
this.
of love.
It's
That's
crazy,
the price
man.
of love.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's interesting. I mean, sorry, it's interesting what Charles just said about you owing your parents. I feel for me, being able to, I was raised by my grandmother, being able to look after my grandmother and send back. My grandmother never really needed the money, but it was good growing up that I was in a position that I'd speak to her and she's like, "Oh man, the water meter is faulty, and now there's the pipes been leaking, and now the water bill is like $30,000." And I'm like, "All right, Mom, cool, I'll send it tomorrow."
Yeah.
She didn't ask for it. But those are some things like, and as she got older, when she was like unable to like go to the bank to get the money, I had to find my friends to send money to take to her. For me, there's nothing that I'm more proud of, like as a human, like being able to provide for my grandmother, and my brother provided as well. We all chipped in, you know what I mean. But I think that in my entire life, there was nothing that made me happier than providing. And I feel that's based upon the relationship that I had with my grandmother. My grandmother was so selfless. For those of you who don't know, my mom died when I was 5, and I was in the UK. So single mom dies, 5. There's 3 kids: me, my bro, my sis. And my grandmother was in Jamaica, and she had her own family, and she left her kids to come to the UK, fought the system to get custody of us because the government didn't want to give her custody of us because we're British.
Yeah.
Won cases for immigration, stayed there, built herself, took us back to Jamaica. That's a selfless show of love.
Sure.
And for me, it's like one of those ones where when I look at like growing up and I think about, for example, my grandmother used to leave the house early, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning because she used to clean offices. And I think to myself, like, when I think about all of those sacrifices, I don't think me looking after her or being able to look after her. I think that, like I always say, being my grandmother's grandchild is the greatest honor I've ever had in my entire life.
That's dope.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Dope. Yeah.
So I don't look at the black tax, but I do also understand that in Africa and in Kenya, I can speak about Kenya.
Yeah.
I have friends who have contemplated jumping off buildings.
Yeah. Adebayo.
Like honestly, like I spoke to a friend of mine. I won't mention his name, obviously.
Yeah.
And he was filling me into like how he came to Nairobi, how things were here, the pressure from back home, the pressure from this. And he said he found himself on a bridge, about to jump into a road into oncoming traffic.
That's a bum.
And I said to him, well, you know what? Did you think that maybe you wouldn't die? And you'd just be crippled for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm trying to say. We laughed
The thought makes you go back.
and we laughed about it. And he was like, yo, by the way, I never thought about
He was
that.
too hungry.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? But I get it. I really do get it because it's like I know somebody else who came from Nyanza last year.
Yeah.
Hasn't even been in Nairobi for a year. And the pressure
It's
that
crazy.
he's under. Like, if you don't have money in Nairobi, then come back.
Okay, yeah,
Come back.
Let me tell you, G. That's basically what my parents, like most of our parents, that is their statement when you don't do anything for them. They'll tell you, even if you're struggling a little bit, your grandma was so selfless. She had to come there and help you and whatnot. For them, just come home.
Yeah.
And when you go home, it's when you'll see the temperature rising because they'll be like, we're just feeding you. You're so useless. And then they'll be just, giving all
They
this
don't
pressure.
even say it. They just treat you. I think, speaking for me, I'd say I grew up, I'd say maybe in a different setup than most of you. I grew up in a children's home because of a lot of things that were happening at our
Shit,
house.
sorry.
And I had fun, bro.
Imagine. That must have been a blast.
It was a blast. 700
Growing up with your
kids,
buddies.
700 kids and then just
700.
mattress and all that.
Yeah.
So you
And
could
just
get away-
mattress.
Just get away with everything, bro. If you just fight someone who can fight you and won't report you,
Yes.
you're living in heaven.
Oh, yeah.
700. I can't stand my
It
two
was-
sisters.
I grew up, but I had an amazing life.
That's
And you
amazing.
can imagine how many friends I have now. So that was great. But I think personally now, coming back to my home and being the eldest daughter to my parents, and then you just see that my dad is polygamous, so we have mothers and sisters and all that going on. And one day I told my mom, like, I'm going to educate my young brother. Because personally, I felt somebody gave to me, and they gave me education, and I'm going to give education back.
Facts.
So you were
And
adopted.
I took my brother. He was informed too when I took him, and he's now finishing college and he's doing electrical engineering.
Nice.
Just about to graduate
Yo, that's
very
nice,
soon.
that's nice.
And then that didn't stop them from asking for money from me. Anytime someone calls me, I tell them any extra shilling I have is paying school fees.
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
have
yeah,
anything to give.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
recently my mom calls me. She's like, "Oh, I was thinking the piece of land that your grandfather left for me. I want us to build. Blah 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 blah." I told her currently with where my finances are, that is not in the budget. Give me till August. I would have already cleared the young man's fee. He will be out of school. From there, I'm gonna sit down and strategize, and I'm not gonna give myself pressure, so don't have any expectation of me. If that money is available, I'm gonna show up and help you out. If it's not,
Then I can't.
I want you to also start working on something that by the time I'm getting to you, we both have something to put together. And I think we really need to understand that you have the power to say no. You have the power to say no. Not disrespectfully, you really need to explain yourself. Because the day I told her I had taken a really big loan, I was working on something, and it went down.
Yeah.
And I told her, I am paying loans, trying to sustain my life, trying to put food on my table, and you're calling me for a new dress. We're in different worlds.
Yeah.
We are really in different worlds. And I think personally, I've always been maybe how I grew up, very assertive, very upfront about what I feel, and I tell them. And even my own dad knows, like, he calls me, he's like, Mom, I'll sort you maybe 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
And it's easy. And I feel what really makes most men suffer is you guys end up taking responsibility for everything around you. And it's in your innate nature. That's the worst thing. For us women, our nature is just to be taken care of. So when I'm out there taking care of others, first of all, that is too masculine.
I don't think we
understand?
have any
But
other choice.
It's your innate. That's what I'm telling you. No, it's your innate nature. It's your innate nature to protect and provide. Like if even if a lion was to come here right now, I'd be out of that door. Most of you, it will be out. But if they're mostly
Trying to
kids,
save
if
you.
they're mostly kids in the room, you would really want to ensure you protect.
Look at G.
But I feel like because of that, and mostly people raised in this Kenya, you tend to carry your siblings, your parents, your what, and then you allow them. You allow them the audacity to keep asking because you keep saying yes. The moment if you tell your mom, no, I'm not sending you money, she'll be angry for that 1 week.
Yeah.
Then when you find that money, you send.
It's very easy
She
to
won't
say,
beat you. You're
Bella.
too big.
But
Like
Drew, question, Drew. Have you ever been in a one-sided relationship?
oh my goodness. Behind the scenes.
Let's hear.
Okay, thank you for putting me on the spot like that.
No, but what kind of relationship? Relationship or friendship?
A friendship,
or what?
friendship, not necessarily relationship.
Okay.
Like the friendship, relationship, maybe
Work.
family, maybe your siblings or whatever.
If I speak for myself,
spouse.
most of you know me. He even complains. He says I'm too nice. So most of my friendships have been that way. Unfortunately, I'm just learning how to put boundaries now.
Right.
It's something I never knew, and I can say when people see you can do to this extent, next time they'll try if you can go a
bit
step
more.
further,
Yeah.
a bit more. So it never
Humans,
stops.
sarcasm.
So that's an interesting thing because I've been in many
That's many
one-sided friendships, relationships.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you are addressing it now
Yeah.
because for me, my coping mechanism was different. My coping mechanism
Yeah.
was to always try and super achieve. So it was a case,
target.
it was like I always tried to be. I wanted, like, if I had a radio station, I wanted it to be the best. If I was gonna DJ an event, I wanted it to be the best. If I knew this, use my brain how to make money, I want to make the most of it. Like, so end of the day, I was always busy, and what that did was attract people who probably were not as far along the journey as I was, but could now see me as a way to progress on this journey. But then for me, and like when I always tell people about going back to childhood, I had to go back to my childhood and say to myself, why is it I have all these people around me, but I feel so unfulfilled and so whatever. And then I realized that as a child, I was the middle child. My bro was the baby, and my mom died during childbirth. So he is the poor kid, no mom, no dad. Right. So there's him, my grandma. He's the baby. My grandma has to shower on him. Right.
Okay.
I'm in the middle as the stable guy. So I'm the one who goes to the market. I'm the one who goes to the shops. I'm the one who knows how to pay the bills. I'm the one who knows how to go to the post office. I'm the one who still brings in the A's on the report card.
Yeah.
And my older sister was now crazy. Like, she was just a wild child.
Yeah.
So growing up in that
Crazy.
situation, and this is a micro family, not even nuclear. Me, my grandma, my bro, my sis, when I was growing up, right? So now what happens, you begin to develop this thing that you are responsible for these people around you. So for example, it's like, bro, I remember, and this is crazy, I would wake up at night and go into my grandmother's room just to check that she's breathing.
Wow. Crazy. That's
Wow.
This is how deep it goes. I used to pray, and when I look back, it's such a crazy prayer. God, please let my grandmother live till I'm at least 20. Because if anything happens when I'm 20, I can look after
After my
Everybody.
siblings.
my siblings.
Yeah.
Now, when I think back at those prayers, where were those prayers coming from?
Yeah, that's
And it came from a sense of always feeling like I give you responsible. Let me give you an example. When my grandmother came to the UK, and she had to go back to check on her own family, right? My aunts and my uncles. So when she went back to Jamaica, she'd always take my sister and my brother and leave me in London. Why? Because she knows she can leave me. This guy's gonna behave himself. He's gonna go to school.
Responsible one.
He's the
He's counting
responsible
on you.
one, right?
Yeah.
What happens when you're the responsible one? We all know. You get the least access, the least love, the least attention
True.
because
Tell
you
me
are
about it.
self-contained.
Truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then growing up now, when I went back to London from Jamaica, and every time I would go to Jamaica, my grandmother would say, "When are you going back to school? When are you going to do this?"
Yeah.
And then I said, one day I said to her, "Listen, do not ever ask me about going. I'm never going back to school."
It's
And
done.
I just
done.
unburdened I said, "Listen, from the day I was born, you guys have thrown all of these things on me. But I'm sick of it." She's like, "Whoa.
You vented.
Where has all this come from?" Right?
Yeah.
I've vented. I don't know if you guys have seen this meme where it says like, every family has an uncle who disappears to the other side of the world. Nobody knows what he does. Nobody knows how he's living.
Yeah.
Nobody knows whatever about him. And bro, I'm
He
that
shows up
uncle.
when he wants that uncle.
He shows up when he feels like
Yeah.
I'm that guy. And it's crazy
Out there in
because
the world.
Yeah.
A living meme, guys.
I'm a living meme. I'm a living meme. Like,
You know, it's funny because today I met such an uncle. Today.
Your
Yeah,
uncle.
Yeah, my uncle. So that uncle always disappears, and he has disappeared right now for 5 years. We have never seen him. We have never had
And he has a family.
bro,
Yeah, of course he has a
Yeah,
family.
you mentioned that.
with 12 kids.
He went to buy salt and never came
and the
back.
crazy thing about it is, as I got older, I realized that there were people in my family who looked at my life and like, this guy's got the dopest life. Like,
Yeah.
this is what it should be.
The
But to go back to get back on topic, it's like, and I want to also draw from something that we've been talking about, friendships.
Yeah.
How many people have people who would pull them into the right space? How many people have friends that build them
Tell you the truth.
and tell you the truth? I give it, and I like to use examples.
Yeah.
My best friend is a guy in the UK called Fabian. He was here last month. He's probably the only person on this planet, well, not the only one, probably one of the few people on this planet, who, when he says something to me, I listen. And I listen. So we were at the house. He was here for a month. And he's like, "Dude, you just leave everything all over the place." Like, and he's like, "You're so used to having your housey, we'll come and move this cup and do this and do this and do this." And I'm like, no, I don't. The house is always tidy. But then,
Defensive.
but then after he left and I realized that, like, by the way,
Yo.
I'm at this table.
Where are my drawers, man?
I've left this here. I've left this there. I've left this here and I've left this there. But I can't see it within myself.
Yeah, you
It's a
can't,
simple
definitely.
example because I mean,
Not love.
and that's what I'm trying to say to you. It's like one of those ones. It's a simple example.
Yeah.
But it's an example of someone who will say to you, "Sort your shit out." Most of us don't have friends like that. Most of us have friends that we're social with,
Yep.
play FIFA with. In my case, we play FIFA with, or go out to drink with, or go and do this. But when the rubber meets the road, when the shit hits the fan, sorry if I'm.
Nobody.
No, it's
There's no one,
Nobody. So
You know what I
sorry.
mean?
There for convenience.
How do-
So
how-
actually,
especially men.
yeah.
How do you kind of work that out?
Actually, to answer your question, the ones you just asked about
Yeah.
Drew, mine is actually on relationships part. I've been feeling like the most relationships that I've been in, I'm
Like you are-
actually kind of providing too much, or maybe it's one-sided. And actually, the way it's on my side.
your side.
So actually, don't expect them to like reciprocate in terms of how I'm providing it,
Yeah.
or transaction-wise. Of course, there's a way how you expect a female to also
reciprocate,
balance the two. And that has seen me like walk out of many relationships. And now that you talk about being that mischievous uncle that actually is nowhere to be seen, I almost
Disappears.
became that guy
Your
one
uncle in
person.
the making.
You know,
One is the making.
I know him that much. He used to go all out until I was like, dude, you're overdoing,
Chill.
man.
Yeah,
like
chill.
I'm the friend who tells him like everything. Like
chill out,
I'm
man.
always there, bro. Chill.
Yeah.
This is the 16th flower you're taking this week, bro. Like,
But I also feel like
don't do that.
But I also, I marry that to what to what our friend is said. Like, end of the day, if sometimes it's in your nature,
Yeah.
and it's in your nature. And the thing about it is, in an ideal world, showing love should be the most beautiful thing.
True.
But it's just that, like, there's a lot of
Bullshit.
there's a lot of bullshit. But you see, you have to look at it, right?
Yeah.
I don't know about your upbringing or your childhood, your parental status, anybody, right?
Yeah.
But I think about my grandmother and my granddad a lot. My granddad wasn't my biological granddad; he's my grandmother's husband, right?
Yeah.
Did they love each other every day? Hell no.
No, you can't.
Hell no. They were like, when my granddad died, my grandmother he didn't die at home. He died gone somewhere in the shags or somewhere. And my grandmother was like, I'm glad that nigga didn't die here. That would have been too much. That would have been too stressful.
Too stressful.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
But the point I'm trying to make is this, right? They built something amazing together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So I always say that if my granddad hadn't met my grandma, he wouldn't own a house. He wouldn't have owned nothing.
Yeah.
But my grandmother was the brains
Yeah.
to put it together. Now, when you speak about like modern society,
Yeah.
there's a tendency for women to wait at the finishing line.
Yep.
So it's a case of like, during the struggle, you're just there struggling alone. But the minute you make the break, and now then they're at the finishing line.
Yeah.
But the question I will always ask is this: it's like, and it's a quote again from, I don't know who it's by, but it says, if I was worth something then, if I was worth something now, I was worth something then.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because wheat is still wheat,
Yep.
even when people think it's grass. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And
Pull up.
Everyone come again, man.
no,
Very
Fact, yeah.
profound.
no,
I'm
think
a
about
witch.
it.
Don't
Yeah.
think me.
No. But you see what I'm trying to say?
That's
So
true.
when you look at the journey of a man, right? It's like at the start of the journey, when you're undervalued and you hear all these songs, Cardi B, broke guys don't deserve no love. I know that's
You're
right.
not
Right?
there.
All of that stuff, right? That's been drummed into your head.
That's
right?
true. Yeah.
Now a man gets to a point where he's advanced and he's beginning to see life, and life is beginning to be a bit kinder.
True.
Now the same people and others who didn't see the value in you here want to meet you and find the value here. And then the unfortunate thing is, once you're here, you're now at your most attractive.
Yeah.
You're the best version of yourself.
Yep.
True.
And you have the pick of the bunch.
Yep.
What happens there now when it's like, okay, if I'm worth something now, I was worth something then.
Yeah.
But I
You know
feel
what I'm saying?
to add on that, two things. I've really I'm an East African child, so I've mostly been through the East African countries. And one thing I'd say is one thing I've noticed with those people who've gone ahead. There's an auntie of mine who says this quote. He says, "When a man picks you at his worst," he said, "when a man picks you and he's low, he picks a lady for convenience. But when he picks at his best, he picks a lady of his choice." And that really hit me. And I asked, "Okay, what do you mean?" He's like, "Fine. Let's walk journey of your uncles and relatives and anybody, family friends that we knew. Somebody who grew up in the village, finished university, came back, met some nice village girl who they were friends with. They decided, oh, okay, this can work. They started dating. They even got like one kid. Then luckily the guy comes to Nairobi and life just peaks and starts making money. And then all of a sudden his type is those long Brazilian hairs and those nails.
Yeah.
And my aunt is like, no, this guy, he's not changing.
That's just a face.
Do you know?
That is
Positive.
You have the names. Oh.
That is who he was back then, and it's just coming to life.
coming out, yeah.
For that time, he couldn't afford it. Now he can't. So I think that's one thing that really makes most women to just pull back. I'd rather meet you at your best. That when you're picking
picking me.
right. One.
That's a good analogy.
And two,
That's a good analogy.
and I think that I'd
selfish
also
analogy.
say.
No, but it
is-
makes sense though.
Yeah.
And I think I'd also say is one, I feel like for men, the biggest problem, I personally, when I look at it, is the fact that you guys live for the hype. So when you enter a room and somebody, like, you really want to enter a room and cause a show, and the easiest picks that people do is wives. Look at the most successful or prominent guys who have money all across the world. They married a lady, grew with the lady, invested with the lady, then one day, trophy wife. Boom. So when I'm a young woman looking at that, I'd rather be the trophy, baby.
And that, my friends,
I ain't gonna be the one to hold your grind. Then when you get up there, you call me old.
And that's
my friends, is the reason polygamy exists.
we're married 10, nigga. 10 long, 10
One
strong.
So sorry.
stage of the journey.
Let me take you guys back because I kind of had an epiphany. So I don't know how these points will drop. When you mentioned about looking back at childhood,
Yeah.
I know we talked about it a while back, but sorry for bringing you back. I just looked back at my childhood and I realized I was an oops baby to start with.
Okay.
And the second thing, not to blow my own trumpet, I was a brilliant kid as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So two things were happening with that. Being brilliant, you're used as an example amongst other kids in the state.
100%.
Be like. So everyone puts up, everyone has this perception of you that everything for you is always right smooth and perfect. So you end up wearing a facade where you have to show
Facts.
you're right and you're perfect. So you don't know how to ask for help when you get to that point. The other bit was being an oops baby. My other siblings already had their connection.
Yeah.
And they perceived me as this kid who was getting in
Out the
their
blue.
way.
Yeah.
So I'd appear where they are, and they'd be like, "You just go back to your mom.
Can I ask what the age gap was?
Not so big, 6 years.
Okay. But as a
But
kid,
for
At
them,
least they were two.
for them,
for them it's 2-2. So
Yeah, so
2,
they were
3,
closer,
I guess.
yeah.
Yeah. So they were closer. They had their own bond. So I had to really do something extraordinary for them to enjoy my company. So that tells you,
That's
makes you grow as an people pleaser.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah.
And then I came across something.
that's a good.
Kids who grow up academically gifted are now anxious adults who have thousands of abandoned hobbies and spiral into self-hate whenever they make basic mistakes or they're doctors. There's no in between. Guys, I'm not a doctor.
So you're in the other category.
No, I agree with that. I mean, one of the hardest things, and I relate when you said that you were a brilliant child. I mean, for me, school was never hard. It was like I never struggled. I was like, that you always got that kid who's always playing football, but then gets A's.
Yeah.
That was me. Like I never, and I'm not saying it, boastfully. I was just great at school. Like I did O levels, British system, and I passed everything with an A.
Amazing.
Apart from mathematics.
Yeah.
Maths to this day, I've never passed a math exam. But the rest, school was easy for me,
Yeah.
But the thing that I will say is that what that leads to, like you said, you're always pushing yourself to achieve, is that you get to a point where all of the stuff that you achieve means nothing, because it's like people's, like you said, it seems easy to you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So for me, and I can say I'm the oldest one in the room, it's like it's not sustainable. It is not sustainable. And I've gone through my life being that guy who's always ahead of the pack, who's always the quote unquote leader.
Yeah.
But it's not my default setting.
Yeah. You work for it.
I was I didn't even want it.
Yeah.
I wanted to be that kid who would just play the back and just be like, I wanted to be a follower.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be a leader. But because of
See
the
what life did to
academics
you.
and what life, you see what life did.
what life did to you.
And you see and the thing is, honestly, like I will honestly say to you, like it's crazy now when people, one of the biggest frustrations I have in life,
Yeah.
and I tell you this and I hate it,
Yeah.
is when people always assume that you're okay. I get it I was just talking to a friend of mine in London, by the way, and he sent me some meme about send your friend money. Like, I said, you know what? For the first time, I want someone to send me some money because I'm broke.
Yeah.
He's like, no, G, you're not broke. You have a cash flow issue. I said, okay, I have a cash flow issue. Send me some money, and then when the cash starts to flow, you're always joking.
Oh,
And I'm like,
goodness.
and that's just an example, right?
Yeah.
But my entire life, everybody has always assumed that I am okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can tell you and I can tell you the truth. 85% of the time,
You're not.
You're
I have not been okay.
So
You
how,
see what
do,
I'm
how,
saying?
how would you want? How would you want? Like, how would you want to cope with that? Because that's really deep.
Well, you see, the thing about it is, it's like the craziest thing about life. It's like going to the gym.
Yeah,
It's like you may hate leg day,
yeah.
but the more you do it, the more easy, the stronger you become.
Yeah.
And as much as you'll never like it, but you'll still push on through. For me, I've just pushed on and just dealt with it. Like, just said, okay, fuck it. You know what? Let me turn it to a super strength. You always think that I'm on top. You always think that I'm okay. So I'm going to use that to my advantage. There's a time when I was really broke. And I remember going to ask someone for some money for a loan. And they laughed at me. They were like,
Straight out.
You're joking.
you're joking.
Yeah,
And I remember I was like, okay, you know what? I'm in those days of doing events.
Yeah.
I went to book a club. I said to the club owner, can I have this date? He was like, yeah, you know, it's £1,500 or whatever it was. And I said, oh, don't worry, man, I'll pay you after the event. He's like, cool, G, I know you've got it. I went to the guy who makes those days it was flyers and stuff, the posters, made the posters. I'm like, yeah, I'll pay you after the event. He's like, cool, G, I know you got it, no problem.
Look at that.
I
name.
did the
Look at your
entire,
name.
yes,
Look
I
at
did,
your name,
and I did
dude.
the entire event without spending a dime, and that's how I got back
On track.
got back up.
A man is a name. I
Yeah.
hope you're learning.
Tell you what. So we hear Unspoken Logic. Anytime you need money, we're here.
Please, I'll come.
Anytime you want event to be done,
I'll
Yeah.
come.
we're here.
If it means, if it's an event,
If it's event,
sound
if it's
fine.
sound,
Yeah,
You sorted
so
out,
so
man.
don't ever feel like
I think to add on that.
if you
I
want
think
somebody
about-
to dance, the
Okay,
club.
get
I
out.
got you.
I think being the strongest
Yeah.
person, because I think also how I grew up, there was really nobody to take care of your emotions.
Yeah,
So you had to find a way to deal with them. And I really struggled with anger for personally, I never used to fight with girls growing up because they would most likely cry and go report. So they're dudes. So on a bad day, I'm just gonna mess up with a boy and he's gonna lash out, and I would have fun helping that small thing. But I think I got to a place where I had to find a place to, and I think all through primary also, I was forced to be the top kid because now where I was tiny. I've always been very short, and then trying to make up for to get affirmation, to get all those things, you have to do something extraordinary. And for me, it was also school. And I did that so hard that by the time I was leaving class 8, then I led my school. And then I
Same
go
thing,
to high
same
school, and I was like, I'm done being the nice kid. I'm done. Because even when I was being admitted, the lady who admitted told me, when you go to school, I don't want to hear you're joining drama clubs, any sports, anything. I want you to study. And I was like, yes, man, I will not.
Wow.
And I went in, and I was in hockey, I was in badminton. I was like, it is my life. Let me live it. I think I came to realize that I was not messing anyone else's life but mine when I was almost out. And I was like, okay, I need at least a good grade that I can do a career.
I remember the lady who was in charge of sixth form at my high school.
Yeah.
So you do in the British system you do 5 years and you do 2 years sixth form. Yeah. I remember that woman. Her name was Mrs. Aaron. She's like an old Jamaican white lady, and I remember she used to look at the sixth form like it was like the upper echelon, the bastion of whatever. And I used to have a dreadlock, believe it or not, at the back, at the back of my head. Just one. Just one.
We need to see pictures, man.
Identity.
We need to see pictures.
Identity.
Like Novest.
Like who?
Kaswa Nyobes.
Oh yeah, just one.
The South
But
African.
we tuck it into the back of the shirt, right? And I don't think it was like a dreadlock. It was just like a plait that was long. And she used to tell me, Mr. Gray, you'll never get to sixth form with that hairstyle. You'll never get there. She told me like that. And I remember when I passed my O levels and I was an honor student, I remember going to apply for sixth form. And I've got A in English, A in literature, A in geography, A in accounts, A in economics, A in everything. I'm like, yeah.
What was the
Which
reaction?
sixth form is this? I'm not. I'm not.
What you mean?
What you mean?
We're here.
Yeah, we're here now.
What do you mean?
And my sixth form, let me tell you, it's funny, even to this day, sometimes I have dreams about school. I don't know if that happens to anybody. And I dream about failing exams. And I remember like in sixth form was when I really discovered. I went to school in Jamaica.
Yeah.
I discovered marijuana
Yeah,
in sixth form, right? Like, I mean, I'm not trying to say that every Jamaican smokes,
Yeah.
but in my school,
You
I
discovered.
did,
The
right?
discovery is
Yeah.
And, and by the way, let's say it to camera, I don't smoke now, and
Yeah.
you know, drugs are bad. So,
Yeah.
very bad.
Yeah.
Just
Because
for
you-
the-
Don't do
for the-
drugs, stay in
no,
school.
no, I mean it. I actually mean it. Like
We actually see where the
Yeah.
marijuana. A lot of people smoke weed. Marijuana, if you're mentally not right, it can really mess you up.
Yeah, I
Right.
told you guys about that lady who told me the reason why she doesn't take is because everyone who took marijuana in their family
In the
is
family
not
got
has
crazy.
no
Bro,
'cause-
We should have another podcast for marijuana because we did that, but we were very but we were educated. We had like a little knowledge about it because
Yeah.
he's a head pot, right?
yeah,
A pot
yeah,
head.
yeah.
But
But my head is
Allegedly.
straight.
allegedly.
My head is
Allegedly.
straight. Yeah, you were
But,
saying something,
yeah,
G.
No, I was saying. So for me, like, I mean, you're going down this. So sixth form for me was a blur. I knew that literature I would pass because I liked reading anyway, so that was
Yeah.
easy. I passed literature. History was my thing. I knew I'd pass history. Economics,
Crazy.
numbers, bro. My high self went into that exam, wrote my name on the exam
The
sheet,
sheet.
turned around, and walked straight out.
I thought
I
you were
didn't-
like the baddest.
No.
no. If
For that
Sixth
time,
form.
for that
No,
time,
Sixth
by
form,
sixth
yeah.
form now
Yeah,
I'm the
yeah,
man,
no,
you
yeah,
know.
the man.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, but like to go back from it's funny how you've mentioned being top of your class. You've mentioned being super intelligent at school, and it's interesting, like you said, the people who were so far academic,
Yeah.
they become podcasters.
That's a nice note to close
That's
it.
amazing. If you can wind up there, we can close on that. But I wanted to ask you a question. You talked about your grandpa, who died in shags. Jamaica has the shags. Like, I thought
course.
the whole Jamaica
The
is shags.
upcountry.
Yeah, the whole Jamaica is
Like, do you have, like,
Kingston.
Like
Do you have, like,
Pasa.
I know it has pasa and whatnot, but I thought like Jamaica
No,
has
Jamaica.
like bananas and sugar
No,
cane.
Jamaica is stunningly beautiful.
Of course it is.
So Kingston is the main city, the capital city.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So there's two cities actually I think there might be three now, but there's two cities in Jamaica, Kingston and Montego Bay when I was growing up. I think there might be a third. I think Portmore is now a city, considered a city as well. But like Jamaica's broken up into like 14 parishes. So you say 14, you'd say
Province
Counties.
or provinces.
right. So Kingston is just Kingston and St Andrews is one county.
Okay.
But you have Portland, you have St James, St Elizabeth, St all of these other places. So
Yeah.
my shags or my grandmother's shags was St Elizabeth, which is on the south coast. So literally, it's famous for like it's very scenic. There's the Black River that goes through there. There's loads of bananas, loads of sugar canes. Like driving in Jamaica, like and imagine when you're driving on the south coast or the north coast, you're driving along the sea. Jamaica at its widest point is probably 50 miles wide.
Yeah.
So it's not wide. So you're always close to the sea.
Okay.
You're always close
And
to
the
the sea.
impact that it has on the world right now, like, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, the
It's
footprint
a
of
small
like,
country, but
you know,
the impact is
Jamaica.
big.
I always say Jamaica's not a country; it's a planet. It's like there is absolutely no reason
Yeah.
why a country that small should have the global impact
Yeah,
that
it
Jamaica
has.
has. It's mad.
It's
Yeah,
mad.
man.
Every country in the world that I've been fortunate enough to visit, and I've been to 40 countries, 41 countries. Everywhere I go, saying that I'm Jamaican is like I get out.
Mad.
everybody goes like,
It's just like no, like bro. I was in Tunisia on the beach in Tunisia, and you know these guys, these are selling stuff, and I'm like, hey, where are you from? I'm from Jamaica. Oh, you smoke? Or Bob Marley, but now Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
Bro, I was
okay, Usain Bolt, yeah.
I went to Nigeria
Yeah.
and I was on a visa on arrival kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So we sat in this room waiting to be processed. This thing was taking so long. I go to the immigration. I'm like, bro, I'm the only Jamaican in here. There's the Jamaican passport. See, the guy was like, Usain Bolt. Poof, stamp. And
Very
you're
nice.
good. You
I
get
hope
me?
you say thank you to Usain.
Yeah, man.
Like this is very layman and this is very stupid, but I must ask, like in Kenya, so many people say that weed kind of gets people crazy, and there are a lot of madmen around or mad people around
They blame
because
it
of
on
weed.
weed, yeah.
I've seen
So
some.
in Jamaica, do you have like mad people because of weed?
You have mad people everywhere. I don't know if it's necessarily. I have a
Because
very.
of weed. Because of weed.
I don't. I mean, I wouldn't know why
Yeah,
anybody's
maybe
mad because of
drinks
weed.
and drinks
But
just-
I have a very different take on mad people.
On mad. Okay.
I feel that some people that we say are mad are just people who can't be bothered.
Who?
Are just people who can't be
Can't be
bothered.
bothered.
No, can't be bothered. They're just
don't
them.
want
They're
to
just like that.
exist.
They're like a madman will look at us
think
and say
we are
we're
the ones who are
crazy.
mad.
We're crazy, yeah.
Bro, there used to be this
That's a
quote
nice
unquote madman in my community in Jamaica, right? And he'd come and he's walking past, he takes mangoes off the trees, like he's begging, he's this. Bro, he was buff. Like this, it was like, bro, if I go to the gym,
Yeah.
I could never look like this guy. You get me?
Yeah.
But
Where
as far
was
as
he
looking,
training?
but like where was it was just the University of Life. And you think about it. Think about when you say someone's a madman on the streets, right? Bro, you can drive in a community and see the same person for 20 years.
Yeah. Not
You're
Yes,
stressed. You're in therapy. You're doing this.
You're sick.
You're doing that.
Yeah.
You're
Sure.
gone to the hospital.
People are calling you for money.
This guy is just there.
Yeah.
Doesn't
So,
pay rent,
so,
doesn't
so
do
for
that.
me, I think madness is someday people just get up and say, you know what, this whole thing, I just
I
can't
wanna
be
be
bothered.
mad.
Yeah. Let me be mad today.
Yeah.
Let me just do my thing.
As we finish, maybe one last question, and this is because G has been to very many places, and I just want to know, how does a red carpet smell like or feel like those high-end red carpet where you have Jay-Z? How is it? How is it?
Like when you are on the red carpet.
Yeah,
Event,
maybe
the event.
something like Met Gala. How does it smell?
Do you know
like
what? One thing I can tell you about those events is how they look on TV is not how they are in real life.
They're just good
In
at
real life, they are chaotic,
ah
noisy. You're very, very like for example, you can have a red carpet event, and this here is where you stand. This is where CNN is. This is where this. So when you see these guys walking past, and you're in your little zone, and you're like, and someone's trying to speak to blah blah blah. They come over, they say one word. It's very chaotic. So it looks on the TV, it looks appealing and this and that. But in real life, when you're a journalist, because the first event that I covered, I was lucky enough to cover the first, because part of my radio journey included 3 or 4 years of like proper journalism.
Yeah.
And I was sent.
that's after Pirate Radio.
So Pirate Radio was first, then
Yeah.
I went to the BBC. But I went to the BBC as a presenter, like a music presenter.
Okay.
Then at some point I segged in the three years on a news program.
Okay.
So one of my first assignments, and I've got good assignments, man. I covered the Euros, I covered World Cups.
Yeah.
I was sent to cover the very first BET Hip Hop Awards. The very first one. The very, very first one. It was in Atlanta. And I remember like being, just there. And you remember, you're on your own.
Yeah.
And I remember I can even, if I can find it, I'll send you the picture of how I dressed. I had on like a Peaky Blinders hat. And
Yeah.
I was dressed like to be an red carpet. And it was so hard.
Yeah.
Because you see all of these artists going past and you're trying to get one exclusive, one word, one
word.
da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
So what most people end up doing is just like, let's just say they come to speak to you. You put your mic there and catch whatever he says to my man, and then you just edit it into your own thing as well.
That's how you tell the story after.
Yeah, you tell the story after. So and he's right. It's how you tell the story afterwards, because in those days, as a journalist, it's different now. But you had to be able to like shoot, edit, narrate,
Right.
get the audio, and do everything.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's a
crazy.
bit different. Like so it's like how you see Larry would go out there and he has his cameraman, because TV is slightly different. His cameraman, his crew, his sound man. As guys of radio, we had our recorder. You are your producer. You record, you edit, you narrate, you file, you send,
You send
everything.
it, and that's satellite.
That's how it, that's how
That's
it's done.
satellite.
So we had it. So basically, hey, this guy knows his thing. So when I went to Atlanta, they give you this satellite. I don't know. It's a satellite. There's a name for it. But literally, so on the balcony we were at in Atlanta, and I used it in Germany as well. It's literally this thing that you open up like that.
Yeah.
and you have to position it. It's got the thing
For the
where you-
uplink now. So
Where yes, and
Okay.
so now when you're doing a live,
Yeah.
it connects via satellite
Yeah.
to the studio in the UK.
yeah.
Wow, this guy knows his thing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
He has it.
but the
That's
thing
he
is,
has it here.
you really.
Yeah, that's what we do here. Yeah,
That's what
Yeah.
we do. We'll take
yeah we'll take you
through
around and
one.
then you see.
Yeah, you have this, and so whenever you travel, you have one suitcase with your clothes, the other suitcase was this satellite
Satellite
dish,
dish.
and finding a signal. And yeah, but then you see the thing is, those were good times for me, man. Those were good times because especially when I left Jamaica and went back to the UK, and I don't want to turn this into an interview like that kind of interview, but when I started to do radio, it's all I ever wanted to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just the fact that you can be in a different country that's like how many hours behind or ahead or whatever, and that you're waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, you're setting up your satellite thing because these guys are like 5 hours ahead of you,
Yeah.
and then you're tapping into the studio. Can you hear me? They're like, yes, it's clean. Let's go. So in your ear you're hearing this, bro. I once did a broadcast from Trinidad on the back of a truck in the middle of Carnival.
Yeah.
The truck hit a lamppost. The rig was going off. And while I'm out there in the crowd, because we're covering Carnival, all I can hear in the engineer in my ear saying, I can still patch you through. So then now this guy patches you through so like you've got like 3 minutes. You've got a link. You got to talk for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So like you're just there and then boom, you're live. We're live. This is the Trinidad Carnival, the sights and the sounds of the Carnival. It's absolutely amazing here. Right now I can see and in your ear you're hearing, keep going. And you're just talking and then you have to make decisions on the air because you're like, okay, so how the BBC works is you're broadcasting from this truck, but they have an emergency studio, like a stable one, like that they've set up there, right? In case anything goes wrong, right?
Yeah.
Something has now gone wrong. So now you've got to make the decision. So you're going to say, so what we're going to do, we're going to play you some of the biggest songs in Carnival. And when I come back, we're going to tell you this. This time, now the music starts to play. You've got to literally run to the fixed studio. And now you start broadcasting. Like,
From there.
so if you're listening in the UK, you don't know what has happened.
Exactly,
But it's
yeah.
chaotic.
But it's chaotic.
Yeah.
But then you get, hey, man,
Man,
good
that
times.
was good
Yeah.
times.
Crazy.
Now we do it on cloud. It's easier.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
it's so
Yeah.
easy.
It's
Easy,
so
man.
easy. Just work with your laptop
It's
and
so easy.
encode, and we always say if you fuck it up live.
Fuck it up like
Yeah,
we don't.
Whatever
Now
happened,
it's
happened.
easy. Like even like during COVID I didn't work at the radio station for 10 months.
Yeah, I remember.
I was home. I was working from house.
Crazy.
Nice. Amazing. That was a very amazing show. Peace.
Thanks, man. Peace out.
Peace.